Now, the bandwagon, as they say, was getting heavy. Everyone started to jump on the bandwagon again.
Portland is not in a position to try to come back, and he should just kind of leave that alone.
Stop being satisfied with mediocre performances.
I don't like it. Plain and simple, I really don't like it. An all-star game just shows how much they just kind of continue to placate the players and their lackadaisical efforts on the court.
You really sparked my interest, and I'm sure that of many others. Alister, Albert, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. We are right back here talking to you on basketball, NBA stuff as we continue on with the NBA season. Moving along into the playoffs, we have about 7 to 9 games left across all the different teams in the two conferences. We are almost at the end of the regular season, which is amazing to think of, considering, this season feels like it just started recently. We just started having all of the conversations that we had about all the different topics, and we're almost done with the regular season already. So it's great to see that, we've progressed to this point, so many weeks in, 1,140 something subscribers in. Thank you to all of those who have subscribed. Subscribers is really, really good. What I'd like to say here as well is, we've done this, out of passion for the sport, working together, and it's been really good to see. And we'd love to continue to do this. This is a little bit of a pilot season where we're trying this, podcast out, and we'd love to continue. So your support, subscribing, sharing, liking is all really important to what we try to do as we try to justify continuing, especially because doing this is not cheap. As it is, there are things that we need to do to try to get it off the ground, and your support will be really, really welcome. So episode 18, we're on to 18 episodes now, and we're moving right along with that. And of course, another week, another set of topics, another set of headlines, another set of drama and gossip. And today we want to start off with the one that's hit the news feeds over the last couple of days, with a comparison between two all-time great shooting guards, James Harden and Dwayne Wade. Pat Beverly, of course, sparked this talk. And of course, this has kind of come up over the years a few times, where we try to understand who's the next greatest shooting guard after Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Everyone says it's Dwayne Wade, or a lot of people have said it's Dwayne Wade, but James Harden's career has kind of shown that, he's probably, worth the discussion. His offensive prowess, how he's able to change the game with his step back jumpers and everything, has come on really strong. And, it's a debate. It's an actual legitimate debate when we kind of look at things with a nuanced eye, which we're going to bring here to you. So Orane, as a topic that we discussed on the offline, what do you think about this debate? Pat Beverly kind of bringing it up. I think he was trying to be respectful of the both of them. Dwayne Wade took exception to the conversation. He clapped back, and then Patrick Beverly also clapped back after the initial clapback. So what did you think about this whole topic? What do you think? Who do you think is better? Is this even a discussion? What do you think about this?
Alister, preparing for this discussion, this debate, remind me of when I was age 6. Yeah?
Okay, right.
Getting ready for school. First day of primary school.
Take us back in history. Let's go.
Because this has been brewing for a very long time.
Okay.
So what Patrick Beverly did was to just say what everyone else was saying on the hush breath.
Okay.
I'm glad he went there. But the sad part of this discussion is that you might have to disrespect James Harden a little bit, even though he wasn't the one who raised the discussion.
Right.
James Harden personally, let me just out of the blocks, James Harden is not better than you.
Okay.
And I'm very glad that we are having a discussion about two players that play the same position, shooting guard. Often we have discussion about who the best in the NBA is, who the best in the NBA was, and all that. And it's comparing point guards to center, shooting guards to power forwards. My shooting guard. LeBron James, by position, is a forward. LeBron James is not a guard. LeBron James is a forward. We are having discussion about two players at the same position.
Like
James
for like,
Harden.
apple for apple.
Yes. Let's start because you know my numbers. Dwayne Wade. Champion, 8-time All NBA selection, 13-time All Star, 3-time defensive all defensive second team, 1 Olympic gold medal. Yeah. James Harden, 1-time MVP, 11-time All Star, 1-time Sixth Man of the Year, 1 Olympic gold medal, 1 World Cup gold medal. Stats now out of the. I just wanted to context. James Harden at his peak. We're taking like for like, player for player, who's the best? James Harden at his peak. What did he achieve at his peak? He won the MVP at age 28, defeating Russell in the 2016-2017 NBA season. Eh?
Yep.
Okay. Dwayne Wade at his peak did what? NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, 3rd year in the league.
With a still dominant Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay. Okay. 3rd year in the league, he was the NBA champ. He was an NBA champion and an NBA Finals MVP. Everyone remembers that championship, averaging 34.7 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game, shooting 46.8% from the field goal. Yeah?
Yep.
Dwayne Wade had to teach both of us, our favorite player, how to win. When you talk about legacy, championships, Dwayne Wade has it. LeBron James is widely regarded as the greatest player of all time. It's a reason why I wore this championship, because not many can say they are better than this man. It's North Carolina, Michael Jordan.
We'll have to have that debate another day, but it's all right. I'm a Jordan guy, but let's go.
Our favorite player, how to win. As I said, Dwayne Wade, NBA title, James Harden at his peak, regular season MVP. How can you be better than if you're doing track and field, Alister, the peak of is the Olympics.
Yes.
Win gold medal. If you're in football, soccer, as they call it in America, the peak is World Cup.
That's it.
Yeah?
You're right.
It's the NBA Finals. That Vince Lombardi trophy. Yeah? To win it. James Harden, and this is what I said, it's sad because James Harden wasn't the one who brought up the discussion.
Yeah. You just brought into it.
By straight. 2018 Western Conference Finals, because we have something called recency bias, Alice. People always forget things. So it's our duty, you and I, to just bring them back. That's why we created this platform, yeah?
Yep.
2018 Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. You and your Rockets team, you were up 3-2. We all know that Chris Paul got injured, but you had the opportunity to close out Game 6. You didn't.
Yep.
You won at the Rockets. You didn't. It went to Game 7. Again, you didn't. Yeah? You had 32 points. Yes, but the number that people always remember, 27. You know what that number represents?
Tell us.
The missed shots, the missed 3-pointers that your team made. Consecutive 3-point misses your team had.
One of the all-time shooting slumps we've ever seen in the playoffs.
32 points. Yeah, we know you didn't miss the 27 of them, but you went 2 for 13. you're going to argue that you're better than Dwayne Wade, why didn't you lift your team to a championship in 2018?
True. Yeah. As the lead dog.
If you are better than Dwayne Wade, how much players in the NBA or how many players in the NBA can say that James Harden elevated their career? James Harden, you're very good with scoring because we all remember in 2018, 2019, when you had your 32 points game stretch, scoring 30 or more points, yeah? We all and we respect that. But in no way or form, you are better than Dwayne Wade. The only aspect of the game that James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade is 3-point shooting. But if I live in the paint and I can do everything in the paint, why do I need to step in? Lack of 3-point shooting diminishes my career stats or make me less of an NBA player? No, it doesn't. Shaquille O'Neal is one of the greatest centers of the NBA. He can't shoot free throw for his life. Yeah?
Yeah.
But preparing, I said, you know what? Oftentimes, because I remember a couple episodes ago when we were talking about basketball and music, and I said, you know what? There's a young rapper, Roddy Rich. I don't know if you listen to hip hop, the modern day hip hop, Alister.
Not really, yeah. I'm stuck in the 90s and the early 2000s, I think.
That's titled Project Dreams.
Okay.
Line in this song, Project Dreams, says, got the new crib. My beep, fresh out, he kept it solid. 20 on me, 13 on me, like I was Harden. Ever since Roddy Ricch dropped that song, I don't know if James Harden has gotten big-headed or James Harden is the man. Slow down. Because when you talk about music and basketball, as I said, intertwined. Meek Mill and Rick Ross, they have a song, Believe It. Yeah? And just I'll be over soon and give you a chance. Meek Mill, Rick Ross, two of the greatest of the modern day hip hop singers, yeah?
Yep.
Believe It. They have a line, all we know is get paid. I ball hard like LeBron and D Wade. No, if you're not up that level, rappers don't call your name in songs.
True.
You have to be of a certain standard, of a certain caliber, cut from a certain cloth for top rappers to call your name in a certain song. Doesn't get better than this. Kendrick Lamar, one of the greatest of the modern day rappers, in his song Bloodsport Freestyle, he said, I am doing Wade of recording. You're more Kobe Bryant with no endorsement. That's like Shaq at the free throw line. No point. Pointless.
Right. I get you.
Kendrick Lamar, Meek Mill, Rick Ross. Yeah? Those are the rappers that are calling Dwayne Wade's name songs. It doesn't get better than that. As I said, 2006, 3 years into the league, you were leading your team to an NBA championship. And people forget that championship that the Miami Heat won 4-2, they were down 0-2 against the Dallas Mavericks.
Start, yep.
He elevated not only his team, but he elevated his own playing style to lift them to a championship. Harden got MVP of the league at age 28. Yeah? 28, Dwayne Wade had an NBA championship. He had 2 seasons affected by injuries, and he also had a scoring champion. Scoring champion. So he was an NBA champion and NBA scoring champion by the age of 28.
28, yeah.
And lie, Women lie, numbers don't.
Mic drop.
Men, men and women lie with numbers.
Man.
Alistair,
Mhm.
I rest for now. I'll give you a chance to speak on this issue.
Yeah, man. It was interesting when this kind of came to me, and well, you raised the topic for us to discuss. And I listened to it and I was like, oh gosh, are we gonna do this again with James Harden and everything? And the thing about it is, I'll give him his flowers initially here. Because I think what Pat Beverly has done, he has conflated the whole skill aspect with career. James Harden is an absolute remarkable offensive talent. He's been able to say that he is one of the modern day players in this recent era, the last 5 to 10 years, has kind of regenerated the way it's been played. The game has been played with his step back shooting, being offensively ingenious. Being able to create moves. To get to the free throw line to make 4 point plays. I think he has one of the records as probably one of the most 4 point plays made in NBA history. So I'll need to research that stat and put it up on screen. James Harden is more offensively gifted than Dwayne Wade. I think this is where Patrick Beverly was trying to talk. Daryl Morey at one point, in his love for James Harden said, he was probably even more offensively gifted than Michael Jordan, one of the best scorers of all time. But when you pull up the stats, and I'll put the stats up on screen as part of the edit. When you look at the career comparison between them, James Harden, better scorer, 24 points per game versus Wade's 22, more rebounds, 5.6 to 4.7, assists, he's better, he was a better facilitator than Wade. Wade will give him that. And 3 point percentage, free throw percentage, effective field goals, etc. So this covers the offensive line for James Harden. What people tend to forget is Dwayne Wade was a monster on both ends of the court. Dwayne Wade, even before we get to the whole finals conversation and what he was able to accomplish, he was considered at one point the best defensive guard of all time, blocking shots more than any guard there's ever been. There was just a stretch, before LeBron made the chase down block popular, Dwayne Wade was just blocking shots everywhere. And, he was fall down, stand up, get up, block someone, get down on the other side, get an alley-oop dunk on somebody. That was Dwayne Wade's game, and he was everywhere. Getting that finals MVP in 2006, and of course, what their version of the big three when LeBron came over, and crediting, him for being able to change the mindset of LeBron to be able to become a champion, that's huge and that's major. He given up and sacrificing his space on the team to allow that team to become better, etc., etc. Now, like we said, James Harden didn't ask for this conversation. He was just sitting home in Cleveland, getting ready for his next game, and Pat Beverly brought him up. So, it's not like he's out there trying to make this name for himself as being a better person than Dwayne Wade. But I think I will give it to him in the offensive category. But when you think about a basketball player and you think about their career, you tend to think about the totality of what they have done. And Dwayne Wade on both ends of the court and as an all-round player is a better player than James Harden. He's probably been more offensively impactful, but Dwayne Wade, I'll give him the better career and the hands up and the leg up in this conversation.
Sorry to cut you, Alistair, but after you said it perfectly in your opening line.
Mm-hmm.
What Beverly has done is conflated skill over talent. You said it perfectly in your opening. Wanted to make that point clear before I forgot it. That's what Patrick Beverly did. Skill-wise, James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade. I'll give him that.
Offensively.
Again, but overall, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and the stats bear it out. When you look at the comparisons between the both of them, when you look at the defensive stats, steals per game, they're actually, side by side, 1.5 where that's concerned. Blocks, there's more. Field goal percentage, actually, Dwayne Wade is actually better because he had more of an inside game, get into the basket and everything, whereas James Harden is outside shooting threes. So, he has some of these categories there. And then when you go down to the awards line, you know what it is. Championships versus everything else. James Harden has more first team all NBA selections, 6-2, but that is off the back of his offensive prowess. And we're not going to say that offensively, we're trying to diminish his offensive capability, because what he has done and what he has shown, this whole thing about himself calling himself the system, it has borne out to be true. We saw what happened when he got engaged with the Clippers and how that team kind of turned around, alongside Kawhi Leonard, of course. What he did in Houston, just him being on the court, the way we think now as the Cavaliers being a threat this year is because of his offensive capability and being able to back up Donovan Mitchell in that sort of way, and his facilitation. So yeah, James Harden, absolutely. When we speak about one of the greats, one of the top 75 greats and all that sort of stuff, but when you think about career in totality and what someone has done on the court in terms of impact to winning, it's Dwayne Wade. There's no argument there. And Pat Bev, he's had his little, police issue recently and whatever it is, and he's come back to the podcast game, and boy, he's come out swinging. He's come out swinging. I think he came out, with a comment where he said Russell Westbrook is the second greatest point guard of all time, and something. And I was like, ooh, that's a bit. I get what you mean. Historic point guard, the way he plays, he doesn't cheat the game, and I think this is what he's done with these two arguments. I think he's tried to show that he's paying homage and deep respect to two guys who have done so much for the game, and he wants to try to give them their flowers. But at the same time, in trying to make his point, he's thinking tunnel vision. I'm making this point and I'm going to just go all in on that point, but forgetting the importance of nuance to the conversation. Russell Westbrook, of course, is one of the top point guards of all time. He doesn't have a championship to his name. There's a lot of issues where we spoke about how erratic he has been. People have said, he costed Kevin Durant a championship and costed Kevin Durant staying in Oklahoma City. Those are the things you don't necessarily want to put on him, but these are parts of his narrative, unfortunately, that will live with his legacy. But he's a brilliant point guard in the history of the game. You wanted to say something as well?
Alister, Pat Bev, I love Pat.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite players on court. That dog mentality that we have to
Yeah, man.
about.
Big respect to him.
You have to remember, Pat Bev is in the profession now of what both of us are trying to.
Yeah.
That podcast game.
Yeah.
We have to remember one word: algorithm.
Algorithm.
Pat Bev
Right. Okay. Right.
has come back from a delay, because I watch his podcast. I actually enjoy his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is how these guys make their money. I don't know of his endorsement deals off the court. He has many off the court. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's getting extra funds on the side. Not that he wants, because the NBA pays a lot. Yeah? Basketball. He wants his basketball pays a lot. But he has his podcast making money. We have to respect that.
Yeah.
How do you get more to watch your channel? Probably if you ask Pat Bev one away, if Russell Westbrook is the second greatest point guard of all time, he'll tell you. How can Russell plan for this? But as you said, it just dropped in my head. How can Russell Westbrook be the second best or second greatest point guard of all time behind Steph Curry? Then where does Irving Magic Johnson rank?
Yep.
Magic as a rookie won an NBA title and the NBA Finals MVP. That has never been done before. It has never been after. Magic Johnson has been so impactful to the NBA and basketball worldwide that people think Magic is his first name.
Yep. That's it.
So you can't. Russell Westbrook is there. I don't have a number for Russell Westbrook, but he's not. For me, it switches between Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, and the absolute hallmark of what an NBA point guard should be in Irving Magic Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Hmm. Absolutely agree. And I think Pat, like we say, credit to him. He's been one of these guys, I think, who really started, making a name for himself in the media landscape, because of his truth saying abilities, being very candid, being very unfiltered with his thoughts. And I think this is what he has done again. Big up to him for being able to, he has the platform as a former NBA player and everything. And I think, his podcast and being able to talk as straight as he has probably opened the confidence for people like Gilbert Arenas, and Charlie Villanueva and Theo Pinson and all these guys who have their own podcasts, to just, lay it out how they think about it and see it. And as NBA players, they have that credibility to be able to talk. Dwayne Wade, there's one thing Dwayne Wade said in his clapback I wasn't too pleased about.
Understand how you can have a conversation about me and state facts when you're not as good as me. Pat Bev came out and just talked about me. And James, another conversation with me and James. He was definitive. James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade. Stop. He was very definitive in his answer. And I was just sitting there like, okay, Pat, what's your facts?
Right.
To say that someone's better. Don't you ever fix your mouth to say nobody is better than me when you wasn't better than me. Like, you can't do that.
This whole thing about you can't talk to me because you don't have my credentials. You can't say that you're great, or be in this conversation of James Harden and myself as being great when you weren't great yourself. You don't have the credentials to talk to me on that. This has been a long age-old thing where, players sometimes try to discredit. It kind of tends to go to people like us, non-NBA players, to be able to talk that. But we have to be able to be objective in these conversations, to be able to say with our eyes and looking at stats what the truth is from, just trying to be very objective. The players, of course, coming from a very unique perspective because they played against each other. They've been in the NBA. They know what the grind is. And of course, that kind of takes a little bit of a precedence when we speak. But, we are able to see things with our own eyes. And Pat Beverly, I think, it was a really good conversation starter. It definitely flexed the algorithm a bit. It kind of made people try to scramble to kind of understand what was being said with that. But let's be factual with it. Dwayne Wade was the better, or is the better overall player compared to James Harden. James Harden, definitely, you do not, discredit anything that he's done and how he's been able to revolutionize the game alongside Steph Curry. But let's be serious. It's Dwayne Wade, and he's right to defend his legacy as a Hall of Famer as well. But this is probably as far as this conversation goes. Yep. Final words on this.
I love the NBA players, even the good and the great ones, Alistair. But
Mhm.
whenever I see players try to disrespect the analysts, especially analysts that didn't play the NBA,
Mhm.
I'll say, I don't laugh when I hear things like that. You know
Yeah.
why?
Mhm.
I always say that, okay, fine, they didn't play the NBA at your level, but did you go to school to study the art and the profession of journalism to see the game from an analytical standpoint,
Mhm.
like Steve?
Mhm. Exactly. Mhm.
We, both of us,
Mhm.
obviously,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I studied journalism. I
Mhm.
know stats. That's my baby. I love doing things like that. So
Right.
I can speak journalistic standpoint that you can't speak from.
Exactly. Exactly.
Scoring 2 pointers, 3 pointers, layup, step up 3 pointers, and so forth. But when you're on the court, you can't see the game as someone in the side or on the sideline or in the stands.
Mhm.
There goes too far. Respect each and everyone's work. If you're going to speak factual and
Yes,
just
sir.
leave it at,
Mhm.
and that's mine.
And I think it comes with, this whole thing, and Draymond Green kind of came out with the phrase new media. And it's one of those things where they want to opine and say what's on their mind, and they will say what it is, and you can't tell them anything because we're the ones who've done it. But yeah, I think when you think about journalistic credibility, when you speak about certain things, you come at it with a very balanced view. A lot of these
Exactly.
athletes, when they speak, this is my opinion, and I'm gonna go hard with making you understand this is what it is. And that's fair. Everyone has strong opinions and they want to get it out. And that's why a lot of people, whenever there's a criticism leveled at them, they say, everyone has their opinion and everything. And that's fine because this is what social media is. Everyone having a platform to air their opinions. But this is where what separates, the players from the media or the credentialed studied media who have gone through journalism and understand journalistic responsibility to tell the balanced view and hopefully give a very balanced opinion of what it is. And I think from both of our perspectives here, we could say that we could definitely credit James Harden for what he's done, but be very objective in thinking about the game as we have, as we love the game, and say that Dwayne Wade was definitely a more impactful to championship winning than James Harden is, therefore being the better of the two, which is always the overall and bottom line when it comes to sports. Who has the most championships? Who does this? And of course, there's always nuance to that discussion. But Dwayne Wade, I think, edges out James Harden here when you consider that. You speak to James Harden, he'll probably say, of course, I'm better than Dwayne Harden, offensively. But I think in the heart of hearts, if you have a really heart-to-heart conversation with him, he's not going to deny that Dwayne Wade had a better career than him and would probably be ranked better or higher than him in the all-time list of two guards. He will defend himself, but he knows he can't go any further than that. So yeah, this is an interesting conversation to have, and I think these sorts of debates will always come up. Everyone will have their opinion on different things, and everyone will have to kind of step back and take a step back and then really analyze what's being said. It's interesting, really good for debate, but therefore, it also invites a lot of review and research and analysis to be able to kind of talk about it intelligently. And that is not to say that Patrick Beverley was not speaking intelligently. He was speaking from his opinion, what he thinks. And I think he just leaned on one side of the ball offensively and, not kind of catered to the other elements of basketball, which of course kind of defines a career. So that's the end of this first segment. What I'm going to do here, we're going to take a little break. There was a lovely conversation on this. We're going to stop right now and then get into the other two quick topics that we want to talk about again. Another set of lovely conversation that we have. So stick with us. Segment 2 going to come right up. We're going to continue talking about the MVP race right now. We're going to stay tuned to that. The MVP race, of course, is really interesting right now. And then we're going to speak about one of the MVP candidates who we believe will be in a very sticky situation at the end of the season. So stay with us. Segment 2 coming right up. All right, everyone, welcome back to segment 2 of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane, episode 18, where we had a really lovely conversation in segment 1. This is the first time this has happened to us, so we spoke about one topic for the first segment, and that's because of the level of, interest, relevance, of course, to the current topics that are going on and what everyone's talking about, but also, just there's a lot that comes with it, when you speak about someone's career and when you kind of go into this whole who's better situation and all that, it would always draw up quite a lot of really sincere thoughts and opinions. And of course, Pat Beverley did that, where he sparked a debate that really irked Dwayne Wade. He felt he needed to defend his legacy and what was said. James Harden, I'm not sure if he has responded or he probably must be saying, guys, just keep me out of this, because I'm surprised he hasn't said anything yet himself. He'll probably be asked about it in one of the press conferences. It'll be interesting to see what comes out from that. But yeah, there you have it. Segment 1, go check it out. We spoke about the whole James Harden, Dwayne Wade conversation. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments and everything. It'll be really interesting to see what the viewers think as well. What we're going to do also now is go on to the second topic, which is also a very controversial and, very, well spoken about issue or topic in NBA circles now. And that's of the NBA MVP race at the moment. We have legitimately six guys who can kind of say they're in the conversation for MVP. And one of the things I want to point out here really quickly is whenever those MVP races start, you tend to see that, okay, yeah, at the start of the season, halfway through All-Star break, you get into March and everything, and there's quite a few people that will kind of put their ring in the hat for conversation as to who's MVP. And then it starts to whittle down. You start to see who's separating themselves from the pack. It hasn't been this so far. I think there's guys who have remained from the start of the season to the end really consistent and have put their name, very strongly into the ring for consideration. You have guys like Jaylen Brown, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and of course Cade Cunningham. These are guys who are put out, outstanding individual seasons themselves. Each of them teams in positions to be in really good positions and to enter in the playoffs. No team less than the fourth place at the moment, that being Denver in the West, and everyone else, just trying to battle for positioning. I think, and why I raised this topic was, I think it's probably one of the closest, probably one of the most exciting MVP races I've seen in quite some time in the NBA. And then, of course, when you think about MVP voting, you think about the voting itself. So when you think about the closest MVP voting ever, it goes all the way back to 1976, where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won the MVP award over Bob McAdoo. 16 point difference between him and himself for that race. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was actually on a losing team, 40 and 42 for the season, did not make the playoffs, and he still won MVP over Bob McAdoo. So that was the closest voting ever. And that's to tell you what Kareem did. 27 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks a game. He was just outstanding as an individual person. And then, of course, so that's when you speak about that's the most exciting race, that's the closest votes that have ever been of voting difference. But when you speak about most controversial MVP voting, you've had quite a lot of cases between Steve Nash and Shaq, Steve Nash and Kobe, Barkley over Jordan. There's quite a lot of cases in NBA history where narrative and controversy and just hot topics kind of claimed who ended up becoming the MVP. What do you think about this race so far? Would you think that going into the end of the season, 7 to 9 games left across all the teams, do you think this is the closest race that you've seen or you've experienced, and who do you think has the edge right now?
Well, going through the stats, Alistair, I jog back my memory to 1989, 1990. Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson.
That's it.
We'll get 1996, 1997. Karl Malone, Michael Jordan. 2001, 2002, Tim Duncan, Jason Kidd. 5, as you said, Steve Nash versus Shaq. And 2016, 2017, Russell Westbrook versus James Harden.
Yeah.
That I just list out. 2, I would say, are leaders in terms of this discussion. 1989, 1990, a three-way battle, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. 2017, Russell Westbrook, Shaquille O'Neal. This is why I brought up those 2 in particular. 1989,
Russell Westbrook, James Harden, you mean, not Shaq?
89, 90, Michael Jordan was the best player. Yeah? But you had 2 players who were the best player on the best teams. Magic Johnson, Barkley. No, the MVP trophy, as it says, should go to the most valuable player. Yeah? That team went to Magic Johnson. He won 636 points over Charles Barkley with 614. MJ will finish 3rd with 564. 2016, 2017, Russell Westbrook, we're talking about that triple-double season. Individual stats versus team success. Houston Rockets, yeah?
Yeah.
Who do you give that? We decided with Russell Westbrook, gave it to individual stats. I came across a quote from another favorite player of mine, Udonis Haslem. Yeah?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Haslem said, I am not the gatekeeper of the MVP, but you only average 24. That's in respect to Victor Wembanyama. No,
Okay.
I took because I'm saying if Haslem is going down that road saying that Wemby only averages 24,
You're missing the point.
Shea
He's
gives
missing the
us
point.
grabs 4 rebounds per game.
Exactly. Exactly. Good one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're going to side with who you favor. You're going to diminish what someone else has done.
Mm-hmm.
Shea Alexander has 31.4 points per game,
Mm-hmm.
4 rebounds per game, 6.6 assists per game. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
That is the stats. Wemby, 24.2 points per game, 11.3 rebounds per game, 3.0 assists per game.
3.1 blocks per game.
The MVP, as we say, goes to the most valuable player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take SJ from the Thunder. Where do they rank in the West? No.
Taking him out.
Just remove SJ from the OKC Thunder.
Ooh. That's a good one. Where would they rank in the league right now? Um, damn. It's yeah. I say they're a playoff team, but they're about
Okay.
6 or 7 seed.
Star 7?
6 or 7 play between six and the play-in.
All right, fine.
Mm.
Take Wemby from the Spurs. Where do the Spurs rank?
Ooh. All the boys have stepped up really well, Stephon Castle and these guys. But without Wemby and his impact, they're probably low play-in team and probably out or even out of the playing picture.
Spurs probably 10th or 11th in the
Yeah,
Western
yeah.
Conference.
Mm-hmm.
10 or 11th in the Western Conference. You think?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Most
Value.
valuable player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go to. So with Haslem coming out and saying that he only averages 24, that he's saying what majority are saying when it comes to the NBA right now. People are only watching points per game, PPG.
Mm-hmm.
Only start watching now.
Yeah.
The NBA is twofold. It's offense, defense. It's not a one dimensional thing.
No. And let's remember in these 24 points a game, Wemby is only playing 29 minutes a game. And he started off the season on the bench as a six man as well. So, he's putting up 24 points in limited minutes and he's impacting the game tremendously. So yeah, that Udonis probably didn't think about it before he said what he said.
Alistair, what are we doing right
What are we doing? We're trying to analyze. We're trying to make sense of it all, Orane. We're trying to make sense of it all.
now? The MVP trophy, I'm going to say it for the third time. The MVP should go to the best, the most valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
On this day in sports, the most valuable player to a team is the alien.
Victor Wembanyama. No, you're right. I don't there's not too much debate with that. There's of course, there's other players who will kind of take that. When you think about value in itself, thinking about not having Jason Tatum on that team and what Jaylen Brown has done as well, you could probably make a very, very strong case for value there as well. Raising a team that many people didn't think, would be where they are, and everything as well. But you know, this will always become another issue as well, similar to what we did with the whole James Harden and Dwayne Wade thing. There are too many definitions and there are too many opinions as to what the definition of value is or MVP is. One time it's the best player on the best team. One time it's the other player who has raised the level or the ceiling or the floor of a team up the most. Then it's narrative. Then it's because of voter fatigue, someone else gets the other votes. There's been too much juggling of what the definition of the MVP means. And fair enough, each season has its own circumstances and its own narratives that have been built that kind of dictates where the trophy ends up going to. But when you think about value, like you said, when you take these guys of this team, this is why I think it disqualifies Luka. Luka has been on a tear, right? He's been the 60-point game, then the 40-point game, 100 points in 2 games, what he's done and what he's capable of doing. You have Austin Reeves and LeBron James on your team. Your team is going to be fine regardless. You know what I mean? Yes, LeBron James is 41 years old, but that team will still kind of be relevant regardless. It makes your team a lot more dangerous having Luka Doncic, but I wouldn't necessarily say that, he's carried the Lakers on his back per se. He's done remarkable. This is not taken away from what he's done, but I think when we speak about the MVP conversation, and again, it's kind of come towards the last couple of weeks, this 9 out of 10 game stretch where he's put up all of these points where he's kind of brought himself into the conversation. But I think to me, this is probably going to be the closest race we've ever seen because all of these players are going to cannibalize each other's first place points. And what we saw with the 1990 race where you spoke about Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley did not win the MVP race despite having more first place votes than Magic Johnson, right? Despite having more first place votes than Magic Johnson, he did not win the MVP. Magic Johnson was on the best player on the best team. That was the criteria for that season, right? So again, it just shows the season that we spoke about where it was the smallest margin, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar against Bob McAdoo. His team didn't make the playoffs. He still won MVP because individually he was just outstanding. And at that point in time, players were voting for who the MVP is. So again, you have who is voting as well impacts what this decision is because it's based on the narratives that has been created. This season, I could tell you, I have no idea. Jokic is doing crazy things. I'm looking at the basketball reference comparison between everyone there, where his column, I'll put it up on screen. His column has all the green in terms of all of the stats he's leading these guys across. Highest rebounds, 12.8, highest assists, 10.8, field goal percentage, highest across all the six, free point percentage, and on and on and on. And Nikola Jokic has just been putting out outstanding numbers season after season.
Biases aside, Alister, LA Lakers, they're our team. Take Luka off the LA Lakers now. Where do the LA Lakers rank?
They'll be in the playoffs, I think. They'll be in the playoffs, I believe. I don't think they'll be in a situation where they'll probably be 6, let's say. I think they'll be 6. So I think Luka has done remarkable things in this season offensively that just validates everything we know about him already. He's a great offensive talent, and he's elevating them with what he's able to do because he's just been outstanding. But the Lakers they'll not be championship competitive without him, but there'll still be a team that will be at least good enough for the season to kind of get to where they need to get to. So it's I think this would be one of those ones where it comes down to the last day of the season. Like we said, it's between 7 to 9 games left in the season. There's guys who are going to be probably ineligible because of being injured. Speaking specifically of Cade Cunningham, which we'll come to in a little bit. But it's one of the closest races that I've ever seen, and I think it's going to come down to I think it's probably going to come down towards Wemby raising this team up from where it was last season to where it is right now. He's definitely, if he plays all 65 games, defensive player of the year as well. And, just impacting the game as he has, and being such the deterrent that he is. And I think honestly, Jalen Brown has done awesome to get this team where it is, from where people think they could have been without Jason Tatum. I think it's one of those two horse races. SGA, of course, first, and this is where the narrative of best player on the best team comes in because SGA he's done his thing. He's been injured. He's come back. He's constantly scoring his 30 points. This season will be the third or fourth season consecutively that he's averaged 30 points per game. Jokic is doing what he's doing. Cade Cunningham has just led a resurgence for the Detroit Pistons. It's one of the hardest ones. I honestly can't really call it, but if I did similar to you, I think value goes to Wemby. He's just been outstanding for what he's been able to do. And despite Udonis Haslam's only 24 points a game comment, this is a guy who's just changed what this franchise is. And I think we've seen what SGA has done for the Thunder and Jokic has done as well. But this is a team at the start of the season. Remember what we said? If this team, after a historic 5-0 start, this could probably lead to them being one of the best Spurs teams for a little bit. And they're now in the playoffs, second seed. Is going to be remarkable. I think he deserves it.
Alistair, we said it after the first 5 games of the season.
We did.
At the end of the regular season, and
look, it's here. Yeah, we call it out. What we said, it foreshadows a really strong season for the Spurs, and he's remained healthy enough to just lead this team and kind of bring that energy, and that's value right there, being able to turn a franchise around as he has.
Both of us saw it after 5 games in the season.
Yeah. I wasn't sure, and we did kind of wonder because there was a lot of talk at that time about them being contenders, and we were not sure. We had to see it to believe it. But we did say very early on that if this guy could stay on the court and he does what he does, the Spurs are definitely going to be in the playoffs for the first time in how many years, and they were going to be a problem, and here they are.
Depth of Spurs squad was what was worried me.
Yeah,
but
right.
not Wemby's talent and his contribution to the Spurs.
True, yeah, true.
The sky's the limit. The sky's literally the limit.
Literally.
For this guy, he can do every single thing on the floor, and it's just crazy talent. But the only thing I'm somewhat weird about is the amount of talent that he has around him. Does the Spurs have enough talent to surround Wemby so they can go deep?
Franchise best record 5-0, and I think what this record bodes well for them because the previous best start for them has been 4-0 seasons. That has happened 3 times previously, in 2013, 2017, and 2018. Those seasons, and each time those teams had that 4-0 start, they went to they lost in the finals in 2013. They got to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors in 2017.
Yeah.
And they were in the first round, ended up in the first round. So this start kind of foreshadows a playoff berth for this team for sure. And the average of about 55 wins in those last 3 seasons when they started 4-0. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to come down to the wire, and I'm not sure who's going to win it because I think narrative will take precedence here. And that's why I think it gives the edge to him because and let's not forget what he did in the All-Star game. I think the voters and the media people are going to take that into account. How he was able to infuse that level of energy and competitiveness within the All-Star game. What he's been able to do with the Spurs team. Everyone is kind of wanting to go at him as well. The comments that Anthony Edwards made at the All-Star game where he said that if it wasn't for Wemby, we would not have been playing this hard as well. He's just changed what the narrative is. And when we think about face of the franchise, I know there's been always this face of the league. There's always been this talk about, it should be an American and whatever it is. Wemby is here to kind of just throw all sorts of convention out of the window. This is a 7'5" guard playing center who could shoot freeze, step backs, block your shot, and do everything. And he's just kind of changing this is another person who I think is now reimagining what the league could be, and I think he's going to impact the league as well, similar to when we speak about James Harden, when we speak about Michael Jordan, when we speak about Steph Curry. I think Wemby is what we're seeing right now. He has the potential to impact this league in quite a number of ways, and if he could go and have a strong postseason this season, let's not even talk if he wins a championship this year. Oh boy, this is gonna be such a topic to see. But let's see what happens. Let's follow us towards the end of the season. Let's see who wins this MVP. I think we could categorically say between the both of us, we do think that Wemby deserves it, the MVP. But let's see what the voters do. I wish I could say we had a vote, but we don't. So we'll be casual observers watching to see what happens with this. And the final topic, to kind of end it off, very closely linked to this MVP conversation. Cade Cunningham, he suffered an injury where he has a collapsed lung. He has now been out of the lineup for quite a few games now, and it's still trying to figure out whether or not he will be back in the lineup in time before the end of the season. Played 61 games so far, has led the Detroit Pistons to the first seed in the East, and they're just kind of putting everyone on notice with their style of play. His agent, Jeff Swartz of Excel Sports Management, however, came out with a tweet where he said to ESPN, I'll read it here, Cade has delivered a first-team All-NBA season. If he falls just short of an arbitrary games played threshold due to a legitimate injury, it should not disqualify him for recognition he has clearly earned over the course of this season. So, of course, he's speaking here of the 65-game rule and whether or not Cade Cunningham will be an All-NBA player or selected to one of the All-NBA teams, one of the top 15 games players in the league. Would he be in for MVP consideration, etc., etc.? My thing on this was rules are rules. The rules were instituted to try to get players to play and try to kind of put them in a position to be legitimately in the discussion for awards. You can't have a guy who's only played 40 games a season for the season and come up and win MVP. It just doesn't sit right with everyone else. Fine. But damn, if Cade Cunningham doesn't get selected to an All-NBA team after what he's done for this team, it will be tough. But the thing about it is, if you let him get an award, then everyone has a comment. Everyone has a legitimate argument as to why they should be part of the award moving forward. I think rules are rules, and if he doesn't hit the 65 game limit, it will be an absolute shame. But I don't think he should be um, put in the discussion. Although the injury is legitimate, I totally understand how disappointing it will be for him. Who knows if he could kind of peak, as he has this season for the Pistons moving forward. But that's why you put rules in. Yeah, sometimes rules are meant to be broken, or maybe that's the phrase for records. I don't know. maybe I'm a rule breaker, so that's what that is. But I think it's one of these cases. I think it's too much of a slippery slope to put it in a situation, though it's a very legitimate argument for him. But I think rules are rules, and I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's something where he should be given an exemption? He's played 61 games, he has 4 games left to play to hit that limit out of 8 games left for the Pistons. What do you think?
For for this podcast, when we start, I tried as best as possible when we come up with the topics to see if I can take another side of the argument. So I always prepare two sides of argument.
Right.
Yeah?
Preparation. We that's what we do. We prepare.
Alister says, all right, I'm taking the side of Cade Cunningham. If you take the side of Cade Cunningham, I have arguments to say, all right? I have arguments on the other side.
Mhm.
We've gone what? 19, 20 episodes now?
Yeah, episode 18 today.
Still struggling to disagree. We just come up with the topics and we leave it as that. We don't discuss
we don't discuss. Yeah, we bring it on air and that's where we hash it out.
I could show you. I don't think you could see it, but you can see it right here. Yeah, Cade Cunningham. Rules are the rules. Yeah, I did.
We did not discuss this. We did not confer. Yeah, exactly.
And I said that to say, I was saying, all right, 61 games. He's done all that is there is to do in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
NBA, they have a rule that you have to meet the 65 game. If you play good for 64 games, you still fall short one game.
It is what it is. Yep.
The rules. Unfortunate, because I think he should be in some kind of discussion for this season. That kind of player for this season. But they have a rule that says 65 games and then you become eligible.
Yep.
On what? 61? So you fall short. It's not anything because of lack of talent or anything. It's just he hasn't.
As you're talking there, what this reminds me of, although it had nothing to do with games played at the time. Remember that season where Kemba Walker was selected as on the third team All NBA, and it affected Klay Thompson because he wasn't selected and he missed the Supermax opportunity because he wasn't on an All NBA team. This is what this reminds me of. So you put Cade Cunningham on an All NBA team when he did not meet the rule threshold, and I'm not sure who would be on the outside looking in to kind of make one of the NBA teams. Let's say Tyrese Maxey. You put Cade Cunningham on. Yes, his team has done great. He's done everything for that team. He's done all what he can for Detroit to make them a championship level team this season. You put him on. You don't put Tyrese Maxey on, for example, and Tyrese Maxey is now negotiating his contract, but because you put Cade, he misses out on an opportunity. Probably not the best like for like comparison, but this is what this reminds me of. You kind of now disadvantage someone who did meet the threshold, who did do everything to kind of make it, and now has something for a trade, not trade, a contract bonus because he's met the threshold and he's made an All NBA team. You can't disadvantage people because of that. And I just think it's really bad because since November I've been on the Detroit Pistons bandwagon. I think he's been awesome for this team. He is playing tremendously. It's yet to be seen what would happen in these playoffs. But yeah, like we say, rules are the rules, and it's really unfortunate it will come against him. And his agent, Jeff Swartz, of course, is doing what he should do. He should be trying to lobby for Cade as much as possible, and this is what his statement did. But I think it's one of these things where you just if you do it for him, it's going to just raise a lot of problems later down the line when other people want to make legitimate arguments, and then everything becomes messy. And I think what Adam Silver has done, he's made quite a few changes to the league to try to make it better, player friendly. Fine. It's led to a lot of arguments about whether or not he should be a little stricter with them. But then when you kind of it's the same thing with children. I have a 6-year-old boy. When you give them too much rope, then they start asking for more. You need to be able to put a line in the sand to be able to say that this is what you don't do. Because if you keep on extending the line and pushing the line back further, everybody will have an argument for why the line should be closer to them or giving them more leeway. So the rule is the rule. Unfortunately for Cade, as much as a fan as I've been for him this season, this boy has played tremendously. He now has a signature shoe deal with Nike. His signature shoe will be coming out soon. That's all off the back of his all-star play and how good he's been. But the rule is the rule. You don't make the 65 game threshold. What they could do, and if they did this, I wouldn't be vexed with it. He has 4 games left to meet the threshold. If a JB Bickerstaff says, okay, you have a collapsed lung, but you come in the game, you shoot a couple of shots, and then you come out for 2 minutes, you played the 65 games though. I'm not going to fight that, I'm not going to fight that. So if they want to do that, yes, it'll be one of those situations they manipulated the game to try to make it for him, but he's played. The point is he's logged his minutes, and that's all that matters. So, if they want him to do it, just put him in the game. let's see what happens. Sub him out as soon as the first dead ball comes or something. But the rule is the rule, and that's where I think we are with that. Any final thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I agree with you totally. The only point I couldn't relate to is when you said you have a 6-year-old. I have no children, so.
Well, trust me. When you see you get yours eventually, you start to realize, boy, them children nowadays they want everything. They want everything, and you have to. Nope, the boundary is here. You're not gonna cross this line because daddy say so. Daddy or mommy say so. You're not getting it, and you have to earn it. In earning it, you have to meet a threshold, and when you meet the threshold, then we'll talk. So, Cade Cunningham, I'm sorry, I'm kind of likening you to a 6-year-old right now, but this is what it is. The rules are the rules. The league has implemented the rule for a reason, and unfortunately, if you don't play the final 4 games out of your team's last 8, you don't get selected to the All NBA team. So this is our final point here on Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. Episode 18. You could find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Mostly everywhere. You could find everything. Our last set of conversations, the conversation that the last interview that we had with Coach Carla Gis, has done really remarkably on social media. So thank you to everyone who's liked and shared and everything. Episode 17 is on its way. We have a little bit of a delay this week, but we're going to be getting that out to you really soon. And then, of course, this episode 18 will be coming to you next week, Friday, at the latest. But thank you, as usual, for listening to us. If you like this episode and everything that we do, like and subscribe. It's a massive thing for us. We love what we do here as basketball fans, and we want to continue doing this. So continue with us. As the promo says for our podcast, join the family, join the journey, and just continue to help us do what we're trying to do here. 2 guys from the Caribbean who just love sports, wanting to kind of bring an underrepresented Caribbean voice to NBA discourse. And I think we're doing this superbly, and we just need to continue, and we need your support as fans listening to what we do. So this is the end. I've rambled on too long. Let us know what you think about the topics that we've discussed, and yeah, we'll see what happens today. Orane, thanks as usual, and we'll catch everybody next time. See you guys later, man.
Sure.
Yeah. From the hardwood floor to the spotlight glow, breaking down the stats every fan should know. Traits, plays, legends in the making. Every headline, no mistaking. Fast breaks, crossovers, highlight reels. What's real strategy, what's hype and feels. East to west, we call it straight. From draft night buzz to finals fade. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes, the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your